So AOC, she wanted to stop the military advertising on Twitch. Look, man, I agree with the sentiment, but I think that this is a farce. Okay, I'm gonna just let her speak before I get into it. Go ahead, just look at what she had to say. All right, take a look.
Right now, currently, children on platforms such as Twitch are bombarded with banner ads that link to recruitment sign-up forms that can be submitted by children as young as 12 years old. These are not educational outreach programs, but recruitment forms for the military. A Twitter account for the U.S. Army esports team linked to a page with, quote, register to win at the top, no details on what one could even win, and a sign-up form that, according to a tiny disclosure at the bottom of the page, consents to contact by an Army recruiter, again allowing people as young as 12 years old to submit this form. Viewers in the Army's Twitch channel are repeatedly presented with an automated prompt that says they could win an Xbox Elite Series 2 controller that costs upwards of $200 and a link where they can enter the, quote, giveaway. It too directs them to a recruitment form with no additional mention of a contest odds, total number of winners, or when a drawing will occur. Again, it's extraordinarily important that we approach and study emerging technologies, including live streaming, which is a platform that is exploding in youth, particularly among young people. And when it comes to issues of technology, I believe that we should act with reservation and caution first, rather than entering with both feet in and then trying to undo damage that could potentially be done. That's why I believe that we should, again, restrain and restrict ourselves from explicit recruitment tactics, not others, but recruitment specifically on platforms that children are using to play games like Animal Crossing, from Animal Crossing to Call of Duty. Additionally, there was also the extraordinary concern from the Marine Corps of conflating military service with shoot 'em up style first-person shooters. We cannot conflate war and military service with this kind of gamified format. And with that, I yield.
You know, that's really interesting phrasing she uses there, right? She says we cannot conflate military service with war. It's a very odd thing for a United States politician to say, because as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, you don't have anything called military service. You have a military industrial complex, okay? You don't have any military service. You use your military to colonize and occupy other countries illegally, destabilize them, topple their governments, plunder their resources. What service is that? Brutalizing Iraqis? That's service? Committing genocide? That's service? What kind of service is that? The only people you're serving are Raytheon and Lockheed Martin. Never mind, though. You know, let's focusing on what she's doing over here. I mean, this is a farce. Look, let me explain something very simply. When you come to my country and you occupy...
Welcome to another episode of actually, I see Nick in the background of the Nick and CJ show. I'm your first host. I'm CJ. Nick will be with us in just a moment. I found this gem from Richard. What's up, Richard? Friend of the network, friend of the show. I found this gem in doing research for the main story, or the thumbnail story for today, and that is AOC is now a military recruiter. Yes, the progressive Democrat, the progressive socialist is now a military recruiter. So I brought this video and what's up,
CJ, that's one of the reasons why I joined today. What's popping, my friends, my family? It's great to be here. The topics are bangers.
Yes.
The topics are bangers. So, and I also, I was going to talk to you about this eventually, but I'm definitely about to, I might add a few more Nick and Night shows. I'm going to increase my streaming because my older brother actually just moved out, which actually helps out a lot. Meaning that I got more time to stream because they usually nice. They know that I'm passionate about this, but it's hard to stream when they're here. So my brother not.
Yeah, and you try to be considerate too. You don't want to monopolize.
Yeah, I don't want to like shut the fuck up, everyone there. I try not to do it. So now that my brother's moved out, I'm actually I don't know exactly what I'm doing yet, but I'm gonna add more shows because I drop, guys. You have no idea how many stories I drop a week. Like there's so many stories that we just simply don't get into. Also because I want DJ and the rest of my RBN brothers and sisters to get a chance to present. But there's so many damn stories. So we grown a lot the last month or so. So I was telling myself like right when I get back from the trip from Seattle, I know my brother about to move out. He did that earlier than I thought. So I'm like, I can finally ramp up the production of RBN because I have not been able to do the kind of streams like I used to do on my old social MMA website, my old Twitch page. I used to just whenever I had a fucking thought, I would go live. It won't be that. We will have prepared shows, but you guys see me more often.
Yeah, you'll be adding more content. Basically, is what you're letting everybody know, which is great.
Yeah. I had to join today because there's a lot that I want to talk about, especially regarding like the specific topics that you had. But I pass to you. This Richard's rant. I saw the last half of it. Always fine. We didn't get Richard back on the show. I just need to find a way.
Yeah.
But anyway,
as part of the introduction, I wanted to play him talking about military recruitment, but it's when it was supposedly AOC is pushing against it. Like she was seen as a warrior. She's against military recruiting in high school. Wait till we show them the shit we got today to show them in contrast to that. So I did want to build up a contrast, but I do have a different video, Nick, I want to show you to get your reaction. So for our introduction, we just kind of just hanging it. Yeah, there's another video right here. This one right here, which is unusual because you usually don't see reporters bringing on other reporters, but this is the Washington Post Live. I didn't know they had a show. I didn't know like they did stuff like this. So the elitist of the elite of any so-called journalist or corporate journalist, and this one is called "Will Governor Ron DeSantis' Ukraine stance? He's not fit to be president because he's not staunchly a hawk publicly. You know how he's taking this softer stance that everybody's going crazy. And I did have a segment. I didn't have enough time. This is one of the stories I didn't have enough time to include. So hopefully, we can talk about it in the,
I'm just chilling about it.
The intro. It's because there is a complete freak out. I was searching, like looking for news stories, and I kept seeing on every network, on every newspaper that has a YouTube, something about Ron DeSantis' views. It's a complete freak out that the two top people, because they were hoping Ron was going to deliver these contrasts, the hawk that he's been.
Yeah.
Completely caught the establishment off guard that he's taking his stance.
Yeah. There's been like a meltdown because, and sorry to cut you off, but
go ahead, dude.
Because I'm glad you've been following that story because it's been super interesting to me because if you've been watching Fox News and general mainstream conservative voices, they've been pushing Ron DeSantis pretty hard. And my theory was one of the reasons why they're doing that is because Ron DeSantis is definitely easier to control than Trump. Like he's not gonna be crazy on the Ukraine war. And then DeSantis made the smart political move because you can argue that those neocons are the ones who are out of touch, right? So DeSantis did the smart political move. Now those people are panicking because now everyone knows that Nikki Haley, Mike Pompeo, and none of these clowns have a chance. So they were banking on DeSantis, and they was going to help him defeat Trump, and then you have a more neocon president, and that's definitely the direction that Ron DeSantis would have went if it wasn't for Donald Trump. Yes. But Ron DeSantis has a smart political team. You gotta say it's smart. They made that adjustment, unlike the NATO left, the Bernie Sanders progressives who never make adjustments. Ron DeSantis and his team, they saw what the fuck was going on. They saw what Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene was saying. It was like, yeah, time for us to pivot because he did. He did because he criticized Obama from his right on the Ukraine war, saying he's not funding Nazis enough, right? But I'll pass back to you.
There's a couple of things you said that they're going to touch upon specifically, and in particular, the guy in the bottom right-hand corner seems to be particularly hawkish, and he's gonna talk about a couple of the points you make, and I'll stop the video when we get to that part. Here we go. Now this is Washington Post Live in the freakout about Ron DeSantis.
Talk about the support for Ukraine and what's happening within the Republican Party. There's a growing divide among Republicans on whether Ukraine's security should be any of America's concern. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis saying this week that becoming more involved supporting Ukraine is not in the U.S. national interest. George, is this the clearest sign yet that the Republican Party is no longer the party of Reagan?
You see how they have to dress up war and use Reagan? Because they can't say they're no longer the party of the military-industrial complex. He can't say that, even though that's what he's mean. So they use a pretty name like Ronald Reagan, which they love. It's a propaganda tactic, but these guys are not amateurs right here. Let's continue with the video. Unless you had a comment, Nick, let me know. Let me know when you want to stop it.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's another sign of the redundant evidence that Reaganism, as his opponents like to call it, is under attack. It's not yet evidence that they've taken control of the party to that extent. What Mr. DeSantis said in this flippant way, which he said through Tucker Carlson, you can't really make this nonsense up, that this is a mere territorial dispute. If that is his settled view after the dust settles, and he elaborates.
You hear what he just said there? If that is his settled view, that is, he understands he's going to get a talking to about this. And if this is where he eventually lands at, then he's not fit to be president. Now, understand who this particular person is, George Will. Like, he's not just a regular, like, he's been in the game, he's entrenched. Like entrenched on top of entrenched, right? So he understands how the game rolls, Nick. He's saying, hey, if this is his settled view after the dust settle, if that's his way of describing, like, yes, some people will be talking to him. Yeah. If this is settled view, then he's not fit for president, which could be true. I don't know if it's true or not. But what are your thoughts on that particular point?
How delusional he is? So he said he's like, of course, you have Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis that is lying about this, and that shows that there's will among the American people that is against this war. He's talking as if oh man, these people better take our position. Are we going to destroy them? Like, no, Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis is going to do whatever the fuck they want to do in the Republican Party. It does not matter what George F. Will has to say. That's why I think it's delusional that these liberals, they were saying if Trump and DeSantis run on Ukraine, he's going to be sorry. How out of touch are you? How out of touch are you? That's like looking at a Democrat and say, you better not support Medicare for all, or else the people turn on you. It means nothing. But anyway, let's continue.
But I think it's funny because what you say, like how if he's tone deaf, is he tone deaf depending on who he's talking to? Because this is Washington Post Live. Imagine the person who's actually watching Washington Post Live. I mean, other than a person who's doing it for research.
Live. Not even the paper, you're watching the live stream, dude. That's a very small percent of the population. And to your point, that's the 1% and their kids.
Yes.
The 1% of their kids and their immediate family and friends. No ordinary people watching this.
Elaborates on this, then he's not fit to be president, period. His words, let me give you an echo, an anticipation of those words. 1938, Neville Chamberlain said about Czechoslovakia.
You know how you notice how these people, this certain segment of people do this, and in trying to answer questions, they go back to history and they say, and then you know who else does this? Marianne Williamson does this. And I keep pointing out in videos, she needs to stop doing that. Go ahead.
They always bring up the Chamberlain example with Hitler, and this is the United States' favorite example because that's such an extreme example. They're like, this is why you never advocate for peace, or there will be Hitler. I cannot emphasize this enough, guys. They say this about anything and everything. Mm-hmm. When people criticize the Iraq war, they're like, oh, remember what Chamberlain said about Hitler? When people call it Vietnam, remember what Chamberlain said about Hitler? Why do you think they pull out that one quote? Because that's every other example, every other war was ended via peace and negotiations. There have been many conflicts that did not end in war because of peace and negotiations. So they pulled the one example out of the countless of the last century that show that peace and negotiation works. They bring out the Chamberlain Hitler examples and they spam it every single story. And whenever they do that, that's a tell. I'm like, man, they have no other points because I've been studying empire propaganda for quite some time now. So whenever they have no points, they bring this one up because like shit. They can't say what Ron DeSantis says because that's why I laughed at first because I thought he was going to do that. I was like, oh, go ahead. Share the comments of the candidate criticizing Ukraine. That would harm your position. So instead of quoting DeSantis and picking it apart one by one, what he does is bring up some irrelevant historical example so you can shift the conversation away from the Ukraine debate. It's a very common tactic during the Iraq War. Bring up the Chamberlain quote so people don't talk about how ridiculous your weapons of mass destruction campaign is. So you see the tactic? Talk about history so you don't talk about the current event. So go ahead, CJ.
Yes, and it's so weird though that liberal media, not like these guys, because they're just class journalists. They don't really liberal, whatever. They're just class journalists. A lot of these people are, but liberal media, meaning the Democrats, are taking this position, which is very weird. A lot of this since the pandemic has shut up a lot. Shut up economics, it shut up geopolitical politics, and it also has I forget the point that I was going to make. My bad. Anyway, let's continue with the video.
In Germany, in a faraway country between people of whom we know nothing. Well, we knew a lot about them soon enough. And so if this is a terrible thing for the DeSantis brand. The DeSantis brand is I'm a tough guy. I have a spine of steel.
So delusional. So delusional. So I'll be quick. I want the video keep playing.
No, go ahead.
That's so delusional. Because as I mentioned earlier, if Ron DeSantis did not do this, he would have got washed by Donald Trump in the primary. Absolutely washed. The right-wing base is not falling for this bullshit no more, right? So DeSantis made the decision so he can be competitive against Trump. Meanwhile, this out-of-touch neocon is saying, man, DeSantis really screwed himself here. The exact opposite.
But I think the military-industrial complex believes that candidates are supposed to sacrifice their candidacy also for the military-industrial complex. Yeah. And what both of these candidates are saying, no. I'm putting my candidacy above yours in the way that I'm not going to publicly be on your side right now, even though in the background, of course, I'm doing the same thing that everybody does. I need to publicly do this for my candidacy. I'm sorry that it might fuck up your sales right now, but this is what I got to do to get to the place, and then I'll be back on your side. And weapons manufacturers and their minions, like this guy here, are sent out to be those attack dogs. But it was just the sheer amount, Nick, of videos I found on this topic of people just kind of
it was a whole media day or two where DeSantis made a comment. Like, remember the Tucker Carlson segment? That segment created a media firestorm. Then within that firestorm was like, hey, do you niggas see what DeSantis said? Like that was within, and then it continued a little bit on as the story continued because I'm a media hawk. I've been watching what these propagandists say now. So they definitely flipped out because, as I said earlier in the stream, their backup definitely was probably DeSantis up because they're like, yeah, you see what he said about Venezuela, you see what he said about Colombia, you see what he says about Cuba. We can definitely get him on our side in Ukraine. After those comments, they're like, Now I actually got a story I want to do later, and I don't want to interject this segment, but go ahead. Later, I'm going to do a segment about Marjorie Taylor Greene because Marjorie Taylor Greene posted a video where she calls for war against Mexico and AMLO. So these people who are pretending against the Ukraine war, which I have been saying for months. How long have I been saying this? They are not anti-war. They just want to spend geopolitical resources more efficiently. So they thought they contained Ron DeSantis on this issue because of his ideology, which essentially is that, but that's not true. But go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, so here's just another example of the same thing. Oh, I'll just show two instead of showing all of them. So we showed you the Washington Post Live. Now, this is, of course, MSNBC. Of course, Nick, I had to go to Joe Scarborough. But listen to what this Murphy guy, elected Rep Murphy, says about DeSantis support. How they're framing it. Not peace or like it's better resources spent in a different way, but listen how he frames it right here.
Joining us now, Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut. He's a member of the Foreign Relations Committee. We're talking to you about this. Joe Biden fended off Donald Trump in the presidential election. Some would argue to save our democracy from Trump's fascism. But Trumpism obviously still exists, and it's coursing through the veins of Ron DeSantis, especially as it comes to the issue of Russia. Are you concerned about this?
Now you see how it's not like she made up that line. They're always anything they deem as insane against the ruling class. Trump is saying they're gonna you could have not talked to Trump for years. You see how this Trump in Trump influence, they're gonna insert Trump because they want to attach Trump to this guy now on this stand. She said specifically this part.
Yeah, you see how I laugh a lot. Like these segments are so funny to us. Like say you laugh when you watch this. This is so hilarious because you are literally married to Joe Scarborough, one of the biggest fascists in media. And she over here saying, "Oh my God, Donald Trump is a fascist." Like, you know who the fuck you married to? I let the video play. This shit is hilarious.
Yeah, and everybody has to know these people are literally friends going to the same dinner party.
Yes,
billionaires hang around with billionaires. Their kids go to the same schools. They hang around each other. So, but anyway, let's get back. Listen to what this rep says. Chris Murphy. I was trying to remember his name. Senator Chris Murphy. I said rep earlier.
Well, let me make it clear first, and thanks for having me, that you can have good faith objections to U.S. support for Ukraine. We should always be willing to have a debate about whether it makes sense or not for the United States to send troops abroad, to support wars overseas. It's not by definition unpatriotic to question U.S. military involvement in places outside of the United States. But to Claire's point, this doesn't appear to be a good faith objection. The Republican Party, in particular the Trump wing of the Republican Party, has decided to turn its back on democracy. They have tremendous affection for dictators because they've decided that they would rather sacrifice American democracy if that's what's necessary to stay in power. And so I worry that DeSantis's and Trump's support for Putin and opposition to Ukraine is part and parcel of a broader lack of enthusiasm for democracy and self-governance. So I'm willing to have.
It's a lack of enthusiasm for democracy is what this is about, Nick. The framing complete. Now, if you heard that story, if you heard this segment, and just like no title, and you read some story, you have no idea that these are the same story because he's not at all talking about what DeSantis said. He's just framing it as you're pro-Putin. Go ahead.
Do you guys see why I have my position? This is why Democrats are extremely nefarious. The propaganda that he's doing here is rank U.S. empire neocon propaganda. This comes from Democrat MSNBC propaganda. When you hear this insane person speak, how can anyone come to the conclusion that his party is the lesser two evils? Like, I feel like the people who believe the Democrats are the lesser two evils, these are the people who don't watch them. They don't see what bills they vote for. They have no idea what the fuck is going on. They watching Kyle Kalinske videos, watching Ben Shapiro videos, watch them react to Jordan Peterson, have no idea what the Democrats are doing. And then every 4 years, they be like, oh my God, the Democrats are less too evil. Why are your politics so anti-Democrat, Nick? Oh my God, they don't understand. This guy is repeating ridiculous propaganda saying that, oh my God, DeSantis and Trump, they love dictators and tyrants because they are calling for peace. Meanwhile, your good friend is Benjamin Netanyahu. Pause. He's friends with literally an ethno-fascist who is purging the Palestinian people in line with the most far-right regime in Israel. But according to these people, only the right, only Donald Trump, and only DeSantis are fascists. This is propaganda and empire lies to the next level. It's like I don't differentiate Republicans from Democrats. If anything, Democrats make Republicans like chumps because they're more effective at what they do, as the late great Glenn Ford explained. But continue, CJ.
Absolutely. Let's click it here.
To have the debate about whether it makes sense to, send money to Ukraine. I think it makes a ton of sense because it is just true. If we don't defend Ukraine, the entire post-World War II order falls apart, and it is not hyperbole.
The entire post-World War II order falls apart. What could he be referring to there, Nick? Now we know we talked about this before, but what is he referring to when he says that order post World War II?
He's talking about the rules-based order that allows the United States to have a torture facility in Guantanamo Bay, but no one has the ability to do anything about it. He's talking about the international rules-based order that allowed the Israeli people to slaughter Palestinians, and people can't do anything about it. He's talking about the international order that allowed Jair Bolsonaro to slaughter indigenous people in Brazil, and no one is allowed to do anything about it because he's friends with Donald Trump and the United States regime. This is why these people are my number one enemy. And I told you guys many times, I don't give a fuck about Putin. Don't give a fuck about Russia. It's not the Soviet Union anymore. It's not a communist state anymore. Don't care about it. But we have a very similar geopolitical foe. And I see the strategy of Putin and Russia uniting with formerly colonized countries to repose this U.S. imperialist machine. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really fuck with Putin, but I'm down because we got the same enemy. The enemy that maintains this global order that oppresses Black, indigenous people globally, that crush communist and socialist movements globally. The empire that literally imprisons 1/4 of the world's prison population. That's what I resist, and I do it unapologetically. I am not a neutral political commentator. That was never my intention. I never was like, I want to button up and be an established New York Times. No, I was like, I ain't get on YouTube to preach my fucking truth, and I'm against NATO and the establishment goons, and I really need the left to pick up that mentality because there's so many, and I'm not naming names here because I don't need to do that, but there are people like, I'm going to just say shit down the line. I want to be objective. No, the right-wingers and capitalists do not do that because there's no fucking reason to do that. Lenin wrote a newspaper because he understood how effective it is for you to control the narrative. We need to correct the nonsense that comes from the empire, and we need to unapologetically push our positions because that is what the capitalists do. Anyway, so
I must say this as my last comment because we can close the introduction. Marianne Williamson is to the right of Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump on Ukraine, Nick.
Jesus.
Is this even believable, man? She is literally to the right because if you recall back to the Jordan interview, this hasn't been a blank check so far, over $100 billion. It hasn't been a blank check. What are you talking about? This is a priority, freedom, and all this other stuff. Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump is like, what do you mean, peace? 24 hours right now. You go back to that interview with her, she's talking about it's not ready for peace right now. It's not time. That's what she said.
Yes.
So she is to the right of Ron DeSantis.
Absolutely. And that's why I went so hard against the people who criticize the Rage Against the War Machine rally and the people who remain silent. Because now look at this rally that you covered, that Sabby covered. I saw Finney, our former RBN sister, she was giving a speech.
Off the chain, yeah.
And I'm interjecting this here because it's actually a great point that you're making. You notice that Marianne Williamson did not prop up either of these events. So the progressive left, they was like, I don't support the Rage Against the War Machine rally because I don't like Jackson Hinkle. I don't like the Rage Against the War Machine rally because Scott Ritter is there. And then they want me to believe them. I said, bullshit. Bullshit. The reason why you guys didn't support the war, either of these anti-war rallies is because you support the war. The NATO left will try to come up with all these excuses. You had to serve Human Report, all these progressive NATO leftists. They was like, I don't like the Rage Against the War Machine rally because of this, because of that. No, it's because you guys are pro-war. Marianne Williamson and Bernie Sanders, they didn't speak about this rally because they are pro-war. All these boutique commentators on TYT, Kyle Kalinske, Crystal Ball, all these people pretend that they're progressive. Where are they promoting these events? Nowhere to be found. They said we didn't support the Rage Against the War Machine rally because libertarians was there. This was an event sponsored by Code Pink, as accepted by liberals and progressives as it gets. They still didn't show up. So, and what did I say? From the very beginning of the Rage Against the War Machine dialogue, I was like, I don't even buy the premise. I don't even buy the premise. You guys criticizing this shit because you guys trying to find a weasel way to undermine an action that calls out your politicians. The people who love defending Bernie Sanders, AOC, the people who love Marianne Williamson. They love them some Marianne Williamson, and they got to ignore events like these because it makes her look bad. It makes Bernie Sanders look bad and AOC look bad. The fact that they was not there. I'm showing more footage here.
Yeah, I'm gonna show some more too. After you're done. But let's keep just showing the footage here. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is
but to your point, and I put it up in the little banner here, Nick, and I talked about a segment similar to this before. The reason they're only anti-war, Nick, in the abstract. They're always anti-war with past wars. They're always anti-war when we're talking about hypotheticals in countries and in hypothetical situations. Their application of their anti-warism, and I'm making it up, anti-warism, never is applied to the current situation that's going on. And we're talking about Ukraine.
Yes. They are anti-war in hindsight. Because they be like, man, that Iraq war was horrible. Man, that Vietnam war was horrible. Man, they lied about everything that happened in the global south. Meanwhile, the current war happens. They're like, I'm all in. The people that lied to us before, Mike Pompeo, John Bolton, the Justice Department, Anthony Blinken, I know they lied to us before, but I'm sure they mean it this time. If you don't mind, I want to share a Finney speech. Because
go ahead. Play that, and then I'll come back to this.
I'll pass to you. I kind of maybe listen to a mini segment about the protest, the Coping protest, so we can kind of.
I don't know if you saw it. It was one of the topics in the description.
Yeah, for sure.
I thought you knew that. I thought you brought it up.
No, I kind of just joined this randomly. I just joined this randomly. So we can do this. Nice. I saw this earlier, and I was like, I'm glad to see a Finney out there giving this speech. So it is a 4.5 minute speech. I'll play maybe a minute or two.
Up, you say fight back. Hands up! Fight back! Hands up! Fight back! Hands up! Fight back! Hands up! Fight back! Good afternoon, y'all. My name is Afeni. I'm a community organizer with Life After Elise. I'm also an anti-war army veteran. We are here to demand peace in Ukraine and to the end and an end to the toxic militarism that is destroying people's lives and our planet. America is a country where 1 in 5 children under the age of 5 are insecure, and they are cutting food stamps because we can't afford it. Yet, on March 9th, 2023, the Biden administration proposed a fiscal year 2024 budget that asked Congress to give the military-industrial complex $842 billion. They sell us a false dream that they are protecting women in other countries, while the bodily autonomy of women in this country is being stripped from us. They say that one of the reasons why we have to beat Russia, why we have to unseat Vladimir Putin is to protect trans and queer people in Russia. And there are over 350 bills criminalizing trans youth and trans people across this goddamn country. The U.S. is the world's largest polluter, partly because our military and Biden just approved the Willow Project. The International Criminal Court has issued an arrest warrant for Vladimir Putin. And fine, I'm not here to defend his actions, but I want to ask, when is the ICC coming to pick up George W. Bush?
I ended there. That's Finney's on fire. It's a 4.5 minute speech. Make sure you guys check out our timeline for the full video. I'll pass you, CJ. Big shout out to Finney. That's great stuff there. Great stuff, Finney.
Yeah, that's an awesome speech that she gave. What I want to show next as part of the rally this is the part of the rally that really got to me emotionally. This is what got to me because this is a Peruvian activist, and we know what's going on in Peru, U.S. backed coup in Peru, and it's a coup government, and they're inflicting atrocities. The police and government are killing indigenous people. And they had some of those people on display. So I do want to, just kind of pay respects to those people by at least having their pictures kind of play in the background. So what I do is I interview him. I'm gonna scroll. So he tells me, I'll come back to the interview part. Him on the right, he tells me, yes, we have a setup, a display over there where we have pictures of some of the people that have been killed, and this is like a something that is not reported, like the setup that they have. But anyway, let me fast forward. It's right here is where it begins, and I'll turn the sound on and listen.
Who was speaking about? I hope you can hear me. They have these here of the people that have been killed. So, for example, you see this young man here. And then it's a long row. As you can see, it's a long row of the people that have been killed. I mean, he said they just came in and just mowed people down. And most of them are indigenous, so indigenous, as if you can be indigenous on top of indigenous, that they don't even speak Spanish. They speak the native language. I can't, he said Saquin or something like that, how you pronounce it. Yes, sir. Oh, absolutely.
So I'll pause it there just so I don't have to play the whole video, just to show the type of action that was going on down there. And the guy, he was like, man, he was one of the activists, Nick, that got the crowd hyped up because he was yelling. He was like, and you can go see this, everybody, and go see it in the coverage, the video we did yesterday. You can go see all of what I'm saying. He was like, yeah, the United States is in our country stealing our fucking resources out here. Like, he was telling the truth and he was speaking truth to power. So great time at the anti-war rally. Let me show you a couple of other clips, just so you can see. And I'm gonna switch back and forth between the LA rally and the Washington rally. The Washington rally was the main one. I can just play this in the background.
You know, if I dip out every once in a while because my brothers are running around.
Yeah, no worries. Let me turn the sound down and we can just watch it in the background. And yes, I did hear you. If I see your cameras off, I completely understand. So I mean, it wasn't 200,000 people, but it was a great turnout in Washington. They had speakers and they also marched at some of the satellite locations. We just had speakers. I was at the Los Angeles one. This is the DC one. But this is a good amount of people that's marching there. Let me show you a couple of other clips of people there. And of course, Chuck, always got to go to Chuck. When it comes to protest on the ground in Washington, D.C., he's the guy. He's the guy you got to go to, and you're going to get some on-the-ground footage. This guy right here talking about the situation.
And what does it say about
go ahead.
And just one quick point. What does it say about our corporate media, MSNBC, CNN, New York Times, Washington Post, that they don't have journalists on the ground talking to these people, right? They'll have a CIA analyst on, a former general, come on, a Wall Street guy, come on. Meanwhile, no interest in talking to ordinary people. But continue. But this is why citizen journalism is extremely important, and do not let people convince you otherwise. Do not let people convince you otherwise. Citizen journalism is crucial because we need to get these stories out. There's a reason why they want to silence these movements and these activists. I got into this so we can air the voices of people like this out, and we need more people to do it. Chuck Moody does a great job at going to these rallies and giving the voice to the people everyone who prays does that should be praised, and we need more people to do that. But let's continue.
And I love going to these places because you meet other activists. When I went down, Nick,
to maybe want to talk too.
Yeah, I went down to Buena Park to talk to the medieval times strike people. Met a couple of communists down there. They were like, "Yeah, man, we about to go down to the jail. We feed the people that get released because they don't give them any food. When they get released from jail, they release them at night. So we go down there, give them blankets, and they go out and they're waiting out there. And then just yesterday at the activist place yesterday, met Breakthrough News, the LA chapter. I met Black Alliance for Peace. So I'm going to be going to their event. So it's great. Just if you feel like, hey, I want to get involved and I don't know, just go to one and you'll begin to meet people literally. And they'll tell you at both places, this is the next action. At the action you're at, they'll be telling you, this is the next thing we're going to be doing, because they know these are the people that are going to come out. So we need to let them know what's coming up.
You see it when you go to those places. You see it when Savvy goes to those places. I know when I was at Casey Tennis, one of the George Floyd protests, when I was at Worker Strike Back. When you go to these events, these people don't be at these events and like, I don't want to talk about what's going on here. No, it's usually these people are talkative. These people usually, you don't go to an action like, I don't want to talk. No, people usually go there because they want to communicate ideas, meet like-minded people. So as citizen journalists, to make our job easier. So I go Worker Strike Back. When I was talking to people just as a citizen journalist, they're like, yeah, Nick, I'm more happy to tell you why I want to do this. Oh, you guys know I had this experience. People will do that at protests. Yeah, I'm here at the George Floyd protest because fucking cops fucking beat the shit out of me. Like, it's people always, in general, like when you talk to these organizers especially, you're more than happy to share their mindset and organizing.
Absolutely. All right, so I'll let this one video play. We'll listen to the sound, and then I guess we can move on to the next topics. But this is a Black Alliance for Peace activist, and she's talking, and she gives a pretty good breakdown. So let's listen to what she says that Chuck caught on camera here.
I'm an organizer with Black Alliance for Peace in Philadelphia. We're out here today to continue the anti-war movement. The anti-war movement has not died. It has not gone away. And with this U.S. proxy war, U.S. proxy of Ukraine against Russia, the anti-war movement will invigorate itself, it will reorganize itself, and it will continue. And we will win. We will win.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
I would just say more and more people are against this war because their conditions are worsening. They're cutting food stamps. People are having a harder and harder time to pay their rent or their mortgage. Wages are stagnant, yet we have CEOs that are billionaires. This must change. It's not right. So we must organize and fight back.
Thank you so much.
All right, Chuck.
So,
my name is Asante.
You can tell why I would want to play her. She sums it up beautifully, and it sums up why we're doing it, the reason it needs to be done, and just the radical affirmation of saying we will win. Just great. So love that, man. That was I love covering protests. That's one of my favorite things to cover is protests, because I like covering sort of action events. So that was a great time. I don't see that as work at all.
Where I can like, I don't have any equipment where I can do stuff like that. So it's like when I have the equipment, like I want to do like live sit downs with people at Worker Strike Back. It just like we just couldn't.
Yeah, that part I haven't figured out how to do. Yeah. So we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out. Yeah, we're gonna figure it out. The audio problem, that's what I'm usually having with trying to use my phone, and I haven't figured out how to use my camera with the capture card. It's a whole thing, but we're gonna get it figured out. So that's what happened at the rally. Let me check out the comments. We haven't looked at the comments. I hope nobody sent any super chats with any questions or anything about it. Oh, there was a couple of people. Let me show that picture. There was a couple of people, Nick, that came, and it was like shouting out RBN. It was like, hey, what's up, RBN? You from RBN? I was like, yeah. But what I want to show you is there was a guy there. He asked for a picture. So one of our, did he say I can show us? Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. He might be in the comments. If you're in the comments, shout yourself out. But he asked for a picture. It was another person, but let's see. I want to shout him out as RBN is, at least we can say we're nationwide. Like people are.
Yeah, it was super cool when you go to Seattle and you actually meet the people that watch. Like it's very humbling as well to see the impact that we're having on activism. The people there that was telling me that they decided to get involved. They showed up at the worker strike back because they heard from me. Like there's so many people that told me, man, I was filled with defeatism at the Bernie loss.
Mhm.
Now not even just me. I don't want to make it about me, but Rome, JB. I told you guys the story last time when I was in Seattle. I apologize, brother, but there was this homeless disabled guy, and he was older gentleman. He was like, man, dude, my favorite RBN host is JB Font because I never ever seen a queer disabled person speak my language like JB. And now, and because of that, he showed up to the worker strike back event. He said he's trying to do everything he can as a disabled person to help out. He said that's because JB motivates him. I'm like, fuck, I didn't cry when I heard that. I'm like, damn, that's so powerful to hear that. So. But anyway, I'll pass you, JB.
Yeah. A couple of people said the same yesterday. Like, RBN inspired me to start doing mutual aid. Some people was like, I didn't come to protest before RBN. It was like I wouldn't be showing up to no protest like this before I listened to RBN. So
meanwhile,
all of that was good to hear. Yeah, all of that was good to hear. Got some contact information. Some people said, hey, I'm down now to be coming out to future activist events. So took down their contact information, and anytime we know of a protest or something, we'll reach out to them and see if they're down to come, they're down to help. So this is what happens when you go to these things, all of this sort of networking, and it's a great thing. So that's what happened at the rally. I'll do some announcements, Nick, and then we'll get to the main story, the AOC story.
Yeah, for sure.
I know you have some stuff to say. I wanted to start with your tweet. I have it up, but if you want to kind of introduce it, you can do
what
it
I said again? I forgot what I said, but all right.
You didn't say a lot, but it's concise and to the point. And
I'm chilling. I joined a little late, so I'm chilling. I got
absolutely.
You do your thing. I'm chilling.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure you check out our website, Revolutionary Blackout Network. That's where you can check out. Now we're going to push our launch of our chapters to April. So when you go on our website, it still says March, but it's been pushed to April. But everything else is pretty current. You can check out our profiles, get other links. Like if you want to get links to Nick's social media, his Twitch or something like that, you can go there, go to his profile and get that. Don't forget, we got memberships, $3.99. Check out our Substack. And the last thing, Substack is if you want notifications when we go live. Like this is a sort of an unannounced. We don't typically come to you on a Sunday at this time. So if you're on our Substack, you would have got a notification for this. And last but not least, we got up to 400 people watching. Can we get 400 likes? 400 likes. And we can start the story. If you're ready.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so here is I'll just go to my bookmarks. I'll go back here. Sorry, everybody.
This is AOC. Misty was the first person I saw tweet about. Her tweet was super viral when she called out AOC for helping with military recruitment. And now all pretense of her being a leftist is gone. At this point, AOC knows the people who are still on board, they're gonna stay on board. So she might well go full shit lib now. And I told you guys a while ago that people are going to look at AOC like 15 years from now, and they're going to be like, man, I can't believe people consider her a progressive. Just like the same way that people look back at Pelosi's in the 90s, and they're like, man, people can't believe that Pelosi was considered a progressive back in the day for standing for gay rights, being for single-payer health care, et cetera, et cetera. And that was considered very progressive in the 80s and 90s. And then she obviously abandoned single-payer health care. She always was a corporate hawk, but that's when she really doubled down. That's going to be AOC in a few years. This is you see Comrade Misty, her comments. This is our friend of the show, honorary RBN member Misty. AOC is holding a military recruitment event. Fucking vow. And I said, anyone who still defends AOC at this point is sus. And we all know who I'm talking about. I don't have to name names and these kind of things, but anyone knows what the fuck we talking about. And that's why we generally adversarial to these people. Not they're just dummies doing bad things. No, they are purposely propagandizing the working class so people can continue to fall for the AOC grift, the Bernie Sanders grift. Some person corrected me today. I don't mind. He was like, you keep saying Bernie Sanders stole $200 million from the working class. You know, it's more like $400 million, right? I was like, yeah, Yeah. Yeah. And then they also say if you also consider the rest of the politicians who are donated to because of the Bernie movement, who sold out later, like Jamal Bowman, Cory Bush, God knows what that number really is. So the 200 million is devastating enough, but even the low ball shows how bad of an idea this was for the working class. But meanwhile, there's a giant part of the boutique left media apparatus that is still trying to convince people this is a good idea. RBN says no, okay? We're not here to be friendly with those people. We're here to aggressively prove them wrong. Sorry, CJ, go ahead. You can continue. That's my rant.
No, perfect. And that lands perfect as before. Now I'm going to scroll down because some people may not have seen it. I know you and I have seen it. Some people may be in the chat, but a lot of people have not seen it. So this is sort of breaking for them. Now I'm going to show you. This came from AOC. It looks like, yeah. This particular graphic came from AOC, and then I'm going to show you another one with the person she's doing this with, how his looks. So this says AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and you see representing New York's 14th district, join Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Adriano, I think that's how you say it, Explanat at the Student Service Fair. Representative AOC and Adriano are hosting a student service fair to help students connect with the U.S. Department of Education. Our U.S. service academics, internships, opportunities, and more. And then they give the date, and so that's tomorrow from 4 to 6. I'm assuming it's Eastern.
We
and
will
then
be joined by special guest. Sorry, CJ, I just got a little head. We will be joined by special guests from the U.S. Naval Academy.
Oh, God.
The U.S. Air Force Academy, the U.S. Military Academy, special guests. Because what AOC is doing, she's bringing poor, disenfranchised people to the military. You know, the people that the military pray at the most? This is so disgusting. So it's not like, well, it will still be bad, but it's not like Joe Manchin is doing an event, getting white suburban kids out to these military industrial contract people. They purposely using AOC to bait poor people to a military event. And AOC like, I'm down. I'm down for that. This is unbelievable. But go ahead, CJ.
It's terrible. And it's at Renaissance High School auditorium. Now, is there any New Yorkers, anybody from the Bronx listening right now? If you know this high school, please tell us the demographics. I mean, we kind of can assume it's the Bronx. We can kind of assume, but let us know what you think about the demographics, the breakdown over there. So you have a semi-celebrity, because understand that's how politics is looked at. And AOC is one of the biggest celebrities when she went to the Met Gala. Remember that? And she's been on the Jimmy Kimmel show. So she's somewhat of a celebrity. So you have these young people, Nick, who aren't as into politics. Think about when I was in high school. I wasn't thinking about this stuff. I knew hovering around what politics were. Like, oh, this person's supposedly good, that person. So they think AOC, oh, she's here supporting this thing about signing up for these military agencies. And let me read it again. I know you read it. We will be joined by special guests from the U.S. Naval Academy, the U.S. Air Force Academy, the U.S. Military Academy, the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy, the U.S. Department of Education, former interns, and last year's winner of the Congressional App Challenge. Just completely despicable. Now, let's go to some other reactions that I have here. Go ahead.
I've been putting some comments up. Our community been putting some bangers up. Our friend Colin was explaining how...
let me go back if there was there. Let me go back if there was there.
No, I was talking about on the screen. I'll put it up on the screen in our chat.
Go.
So Colin said, you will never see this in a rich neighborhood, which is exactly what I was saying. This person said, let's talk about why recruiting. It's about AOC. Well, sorry, it's about troops level are less than 300,000. No people of color are joining to the point where they won't mention it. That's the real story. That's why they bring these military recruitment events, because people of color like, man, we ain't signed up to fight for this imperialist machine. Young people are more woke than ever, which I'm saying that's a good thing, right? Young people are more woke to what the empire machine is doing than ever. So like, we're not going to sign up so we can fight some war in Africa. They are struggling with recruitment. People of color is definitely more so. So great comments, a lot of great comments I see in the chat. Keep it up, guys.
Yeah, and just showing, I mean, we saw it already, but Comrade Misty's comment about it. I just want to go a couple of them. AOC is holding military.
Yeah, click on her thread and go down, because
she got 4,500 likes on this.
Yeah, people
so far,
are seeing it drift to AOC, guys. People are, this shit is being exposed, and the only people who are concealing this at this point are the NATO left. The progressive media apparatus, the Bernie industrial complex, is trying to hide what everyone sees with AOC. And that's why when you scroll down this thread, because I saw this thread pretty early, I would make sure I retweeted it. Because Misty did a good job, because she was the first one I saw that kind of broke this on Twitter.
I caught this, she caught this,
Like she was like the earliest one, so you can see all the like this is Misty. Like that's a great comeback. I saw that earlier.
Yeah.
Where he said you shouldn't have to sign up to be a terrorist to get an education.
Oh, so let's read it so that people understand. So let's read what she's responding to here. It says, "I'm not a fan of the squad. I'm anti-capitalist, anti-duopoly. I'm also a vet." Let's see if the words. Now I haven't read this. Let's see if the words pan out. If this person's really these two parts right here, Nick. If there were enlisted recruitment, I'd agree it's vile, but these are representatives of the service academies. It's still vile to trade education for services, but it's factually a damn good education.
So to give benefit of doubt to Steve, I think this is just Steve being too weak on the system. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he sides with the system, but he's saying like, oh, I don't think that big of a deal. Misty replies like, no, this is a fucking big deal. So I don't want to call Steve out. I don't think he's trying. I don't think he's. This is him just being probably miseducated. Like understanding how like this is predatory when you have the military show up to poor neighborhoods where a lot of people have no way out. They have no upward mobility like we don't have in this country. And then to promise them all these things that always end up to being lies. This is why, as leftists and anti-imperialists, we should always call it out, even if it's a quote-unquote good education, because what Misty said in the response was, it doesn't matter if it's good education. We should never, ever, ever put military as a trade-off for education. That shit should be free, period. So once again, Steve is not being evil there.
Yeah.
You gotta be reminded like this, we should have no tolerance for this shit, period.
But to his point, but not really to his point, but the point that he brings up, think about that. Think about what paywall there is behind, what paywall there is preventing a good education. He's saying that's a damn good education. Why is the paywall enlisting into the military?
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? So that's the point. But let's look at a couple of other responses, because I want to get to this next post that she has. But before we get that, let's see what she's responding to here. What? No way. What the F is wrong with her? Not much surprises me anymore, but I am having a hard time believing this is real. If it is, should be turned into an anti-war rally. If it is, it should be turned. So they're saying that, and she's saying it's real.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Imagine, see what
that
you
would be
there?
fun.
Imagine outside the event, there's an anti-war rally there. That should be fire. That's a great idea. That tweet deserves way more likes than it got. I didn't see that one earlier, but that's a great idea.
And Misty, this will be the last tweet I showed. Misty posts the other guy. Now, this is what I was going to show you. So this is the person that AOC is having the event with. This rep is the other rep. Join me and AOC for our student service fair on the 20th, 4 to 6 at the Bronx Renaissance High School. As Summerfest approaches, learn more about all the valuable resources available to students through our district office. And then this is the other flyer that I was going to show you, Nick. Now, I'm showing you the full version, and now let me show you list by list. Hosted by Representative Alexandria Cortez. This is called the headliner here. Now, I used to run clubs. This is like me putting on, Migos on the flyer. Like, come out Thursday featuring Migos. That person I'm putting their name on is to draw a specific crowd. You get what I'm saying? So she is being used, to your point earlier, specifically to draw out young people that may look at her as a celebrity. And what's disgusting is that they're having it on high school grounds. And this is the actual flyer, Nick. And again, it listing U.S. Naval Academy, Air Force, all of these. And it actually has her picture on this one, Nick. See that? QR code also. This is what our
this is so crazy.
Yeah, this is what our progressive Democrat establishment narrative has grasped onto. Think about it. We have AOC trying to funnel Black and brown and indigenous poor kids to military-industrial complex. She's voting to break strikes. You got Jamal Bowman and Katie, I forget her name, from California, who's talking about Netanyahu and visiting Israel and voting for Iron Domes. Like, I don't understand what has to happen, Nick, for the boutique left to say, you know what? You have gone too far, AOC. Like, what is that line? Like, it's just
remember what the surf said?
Crazy.
Was it the surf or the Humanist Report? It really doesn't matter. They're the same fucking person. But it was like, AOC didn't do anything to personally offend me yet. Remember?
Oh, that was Mike. That was Mike. I think that was Mike. Yeah, I think that was Mike.
When they say that, remember, my response was like, what? If they don't do anything to offend you at this point, you have no principles. It's just that simple. That's why I have no mercy. I have no love. I don't consider these people my comrades because they have no principles. They have no revolutionary potential. And I'm talking about the people who actively do PR. This is why AOC, Cori Bush, and these people are able to sell out so easily because they know they have this giant wall. They have this firewall known as the Bernie Media Industrial Complex that will shield them not only by continuously to defend them religiously, but another important part of their goal is to lie by omission, manufacture consent. So you're not going to see David Doe, the Surge. They're not going to cover this. I promise you, boo-boo. The Rational National is not going to cover this, right? So it's not only that they praise them nonstop, they manufacture consent by not covering negative stories, and then they'll do a story like, you see Bernie Sanders went on Fox News and slayed. That was what Kyle and David Doe was doing recently because Bernie had an appearance on Fox News. They'll do nothing but cover good shit and ignore all the bad shit that we cover all the time that get us called toxic because we dare to hold politicians accountable, right? We had none of it. That's why we call it out, the Bernie Industrial Complex. And RBN, we are part of the post-duopoly left, and we are adversarial to the duopoly, and the duopoly includes who? The NATO left. The progressive left, the people that say, oh, I can't tell people to vote for third party because that'd be irresponsible, my platform.
How can you talk if you build your income on AOC good, progressive good, Bernie said good? How can you now turn around and tell that same audience that they're bad and you still make the most same money? Like, I'm not sure that's the I'm not sure that they haven't, at least to this point, found a way how to thread that needle. I'm not sure there's a way to do that. There's not a way to do that because you can't do that anyway. I'm not even going to try.
Yeah, CJ, I have a segment I can interject.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because this segment is a few days old. I want to make sure I include this one. This is Jim Crow Joe, and it stands on marijuana. And I covered this. We was one of the few channels, one of the few independent media channels that covered Biden trying to illegally seize people's Second Amendment rights by using marijuana. They were also illegally raiding and seizing people's houses, and the Supreme Court found that unconstitutional. That was like Biden's first year in his presidency. And they are continuing to make this argument, despite the fact that red states, like you guys know, the Missouri shit is fucking amazing. I go down the store, go to a dispensary now. Shit's crazy. Like, I can't believe you guys.
I remember the first year it was in California. I was like, wait a minute, man, this is candy cameras and cops gonna
Right.
sneak in your house somewhere.
Y'all don't understand, bro. Shit's different now, bro. Because I can't believe you guys been living like this forever. Like I had systems before. Now we was all like, this shit's crazy. You can try different strands. Anyway, the point is, everyone been living like this forever, and we just now got this in Missouri, a red state, because of ballot initiatives, right? The one part of electoral politics I advocate for, when I say 15% of your energy should be spent on electoral politics, I mean third parties electoral ballot initiatives. That's it. Because of ballot initiatives, we got legalized marijuana, we got a affordable housing initiative that got passed last election, we got a Medicare expansion that happened last election. We have all this great stuff, a minimum wage increase that happened like 4 years ago. All this stuff happened because of ballot initiatives. That's why I'm an advocate of direct democracy. Fuck politicians. Spend all your time. If you do not have direct democracy, because people say stuff like, "Well, nigga, I don't have it in my state." Well, all your energy should be spent on getting that happen in the state. That's my answer. I know. I'm not trying to be mean. Like, if
it's
you
not
don't
sexy.
have
It's not the answer to take care of what the duopoly or the ruling class has done. There's nothing sexy about it. Like, it's hard work what they've done.
If you do not have direct democracy, if you are engaged in electoral politics, that should be your only goal. Like, let's get everyone to donate to a program so we can wrap an initiative so we can get direct democracy, right? That should be the only thing, whatever your strategy is for that, right? But anyway, I'm getting to a side point. Let's get back to the story. The point is, in a red state, among the Biden administration, in the federal government, it's still legal. Joe Biden broke his campaign promise where he said he's going to decriminalize marijuana. Didn't do it. And they ran this bullshit story where he said he's pardoning all these marijuana arrests. And we reported, like many others in independent news did, no one else, there were no federal marijuana prisoners that was released because of Biden's program. And this is something that Biden and the Democrats and the media lied about. So this is a story. This is a short one. The DOJ says marijuana use, which Biden thinks should not be a crime. Why the hell? Actually, I think there's a good reason why they put that, because that's the contradiction. Which Biden thinks should not be a crime nullifies the Second Amendment. Biden says marijuana use nullifies the Second Amendment. So they've been using this to disarm people. And I have a question for you guys. What the hell does it mean to nullify an amendment, the Second Amendment? You guys can do that? Do Americans ever ask themselves these questions? This country that conservatives like, we got the greatest constitution ever. Nigga, those amendments apparently can be nullified at a whim. Oh, I don't like the fact that you use marijuana. That amendment is nullified. Guys, we do not, and this goes to the point that we do not have rights. It's temporary allowances, as George Carlin said, right? What the fuck does it mean to nullify an amendment? Either we have the Second Amendment or we don't. Do you guys understand? Either we have the right to vote or we do not. That's why taking people's right to vote as felons. Ridiculous. Either you have that right or not. It is not a right if the government can take it away. You government bootlickers that believe that, oh my God, we got these amendments. We do not, especially Black and poor people. Because let me ask you guys this question. Who do you guys think Jim Crow Joe is aiming this legislation towards? Let me read it again. The DOJ says marijuana use nullifies the Second Amendment. What community is over-policed? What community is 15 times more likely to be pulled over for marijuana despite the fact that we overall use it less than the white community? That's us. This policy is aimed directly to disarm Black people in the working class. Do you think cops is going to be pulling over fucking Hunter Biden and his fucking, apparently he party hard. The ruling class people party hard. I don't even have to say Hunter Biden. Right? Any billionaire, they all smoke weed, they all use drugs. They're not getting pulled over. They're not going to be disarmed. This is aimed at the working class. And the most hilarious thing, this is the last part of my story because it's not too long. I'll give you your take after this. What the liberals say, we must vote for the Democratic Party because, oh my God, the judges, the Supreme Court, the judges. Do you guys know the only reason why this shit is not in effect is because of supreme right-wing judicial system, apparently. So, do you guys understand? Joe Biden is to the right to our extreme Federalist Society ran justice system. You guys understand? They said ban on marijuana users owning guns is unconstitutional. U.S. judge rules. And now this, you notice this is an older story. Actually, this is from February 2023. You have Biden administration that tried to sue for the right to do this. They was raiding the homes of protesters, indigenous people, and then they was like, "Oh my God, they got marijuana, seized their guns," as a way to disarm the populace. And this is what people call the lesser of two evils. They're stealing your First Amendment rights away, your Second Amendment rights away, your Fourth Amendment rights. Oh, if you think you still got those, sweet summer child. Sweet summer child. So this is Jim Crow Joe. He strikes again. Even the courts said what you're doing is ridiculous. And do not get it twisted. This is 100%, because I give these people no benefit of the doubt. This is 100% a liberal strategy to disarm black people. Why should I give them the benefit of the doubt? You think these people who apparently know about critical race theory, right? They understand structural racism as they pretend they do. They don't know what this policy is painted towards? You think the Amy Cooper Democrats out there wouldn't be more than happy to have less niggas with guns? So this shit passes and they pretend they don't know what's going on, but they know exactly what they're doing. And this is why I consistently say that the white liberal is at just as much as of a threat to black lives as any Republican or conservative, because they're more efficient. CJ, any thoughts? That's your story.
Yeah, no, that last sentence you just said was you read my mind where I was going with my thoughts, my final thoughts on this, and that's the white moderate.
Yeah,
we are literally seeing in real time what the so-called white moderate, and we can also update the term to include progressives, but the white moderate in this case is Joe Biden. They're literally doing what Martin Luther King and Malcolm X said. And they're selling us down the river. Oh, I'm your friend. I'm your friend. I'm not racist like that guy. Now look what they're doing.
Yeah, and guess who all for this? Guess who all for this? The people that I talked about with Glenn Greenwald when we did our Kamala Harris segment. The Black Mixed Leadership class. Where's Hakeem Jeffries? Where's Cori Bush? Where Emmanuel Cleaver, my congressman? Where are these people at Columbine out for this? They're not. NAACP and Black congressional members are tap dancing for this motherfucker who is implementing anti-black policies from the top down. They took COVID relief money, gave it to the police. Now the police is raiding and stealing guns from black people, even in legal states, saying, "Oh, this nullifies your Second Amendment right." It's unbelievable what the Democrats get away with. And RBN is one of the few black media voices that is unbelievably raged at these people. CJ, any last thoughts? I'll keep this segment shorter. Any last thoughts you have?
Yeah, no, that's the we can close it there. I do remember that segment either being on the radar. I don't know if we had it listed as one of.
Yeah, I told you guys I cut a lot of stories.
I remember that segment. Yeah, I remember that.
Once again, big shout out to everyone who subscribed recently. We had big boosts. I know a lot of Glenn people probably subscribed from the last interview I had with them.
Yeah,
that was great. So if you're new, this is the kind of content we have. Make sure you share, like. But I also want to, especially because my brother moved out, got more time. Rent doubled as well, but hey, that's all good. So we're gonna stream a little bit more. Because I cut so many stories like this one, and that's another reason why I wanted to jump on with you today. Like, damn, I gotta get to the damn story because I've written this shit on like Tuesday and Wednesday, and you guys don't know, but like I wanted to cover what happened in Peru. I want to cover what happened in France. Like, there'd be so many things that, like, so many international stories I see, and I'm like, damn, I don't have time for this. And then it would be like economic stories I see, don't have time. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I need to cut less stories, but that was I may add like an extra 2-3 streams to try to accomplish that. So with that said, I think one of the reasons I want to do that because we got more support now. So trying to get
that's awesome. That's awesome. Doing more content, always trying to fit in more content, just for the same reason as we have way too many stories that we're to get to. So
what's going on in Pakistan? I haven't covered Pakistan. That's been like on my notes list forever. Well, anyway, sorry, I interrupted. Go.
Yeah,
We can
with
do
the
it. I got a lot
XPM,
to talk about.
No, with the XPM. I'll do an announcement and then we'll get to another story. We got several more stories to do. So make sure you join our Substack for those that are brand new. We got a lot of new subscriptions over the last couple of days. So make sure you join our Substack so you're on the list to get notified when we go live, do live streams like this. We typically do a big, and the thing is, Nick, we're doing this show. This is not going to change the show tomorrow. Like, we're still going to have a lot to do tomorrow because Mondays are usually our bigger shows that have a lot of different
I don't
topics.
understand the whole thing about a slow news day. What the fuck is that? There's always something to talk about.
Always. We also have $3.99 memberships. You can join on YouTube with that. Patreon scrolling down below. We got up to like 450 people watching, so I know we can get to 450 people that hit that like button. Last time I checked, we were at around 270. So let's get to 400 likes, and I think that is it. Let me look at some of the other topics, and I'll read off, and you can tell me what else you have too. But Trump, no, not that one. Peace recap we did the recruiter story. Oh, political. Politics girls go viral. Okay, yeah. Politics girls go viral. Let's do that one then. Let's do.
I'll let you do the rest of the stories. I'll let you do the rest of the stories. I say rest of mine for tomorrow. But the next story with the what's her name? Girl. The politics girl. The politics. What's her at again? And
I don't know her name. I thought politics.
Was it like politics girl or something? Bro, I'm telling you, bro, she is a demon, son. Like, bro, this is not the first time I noticed her. Like, she is something else. Politics girl, yeah, politics girl. Bro, she is something else. This is not the first time I noticed her. I never had the time to do segments on her because she wasn't really worthwhile. But she is one of the people that is pushed by the algorithm. Pushed like a motherfucker. If you're on Twitter, there is no way you have not seen this lady. If you're on Twitter in general. Like, because she's pushed because she is one of the many social media influencers that are meant to be partisans, and she comes up with these unbelievable cringe videos. I've seen a few of them. I was like, I should have statement on this. I'll never get a chance to. I'm glad that we chose this one because I saw this video of hers. I saw it before it went viral, and then I'm like, this, and then it went viral, and I was so glad it did. I was like, out of all the ones I saw, I'm glad they chose this one. Because I saw a video with her talking about Ukraine. I still might have to pull that up for you guys. That one was hilariously bad. She did this whole video was like, I'm going to explain to you guys why you should support the Ukraine war. And it was full of bullshit that it would spend us literally 20 minutes to get through 2 minutes because we would debunk her so bad. But that might lead into the story. She's hilarious to me. She's like, I can see why she's successful among the liberal viewers. I will rank her above David Pakman.
Yes.
I will rank her.
As far as effectiveness. Yes.
So she is extremely hilarious because we're going to watch this video and we're going to repel. We're going to comment. But I definitely see this shit reaching the Emmy Club with our liberals. I can definitely see this reaching the Bill Maher's. You know what I mean? That's why I do think that she has an effective role. And that's why the establishment pushes her. So I shut up now. That's my lead into the story. Listen to this shit. This video is hilarious to me. Hilarious.
Yeah, this is like clown, like just a higher level of clown shit. But let's listen. Oops.
More accomplished.
And there's other videos. She was following us for a while. It's so weird. She doesn't. Yeah, and she stopped. She must have figured out we weren't what she thought we were, or something like that. But I didn't know who she was at the time.
I think she followed me too. That's why I think that's how I learned who she was. And
I didn't know. I didn't know she was
this
this at the time she followed, but I did see she had a big following, and I knew she was a lib. But I didn't go into the profile enough to be like, what are her videos where I just saw a big lib account.
Do you just unlock the memory? I literally forgot all about that because that's the reason I knew who she was because she followed me. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Then I saw one of the videos like, oh, I cannot believe she just followed me. And then she later did unfollow me. I can't believe I completely forgot about that. That is true.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. Yeah. But anyway, I'll pass to you.
Let's listen. This is hard, and let me know when you want to stop it, Nick. I know you've seen it before, but still, it's gonna bring up the same emotions. But it's funny. It's funny.
Listen, Democrats, can we please stop talking about primarying Joe Biden? Who should run against Joe Biden? Will Democrats get behind Joe Biden? This many Democrats want an alternative to Joe Biden. Can we just not? The absolute last thing democracy needs right now is a Democratic primary. We're in late stage capitalism with a corrupt Supreme Court. Autocracy.
This wine mom has the nerve to use the term late stage capitalism.
Okay.
That was the first thing I know while watching this video.
We're stopping it for the same reason then. That was it too for me.
Go ahead,
because
go ahead.
she is clearly, and this is how you know these people are in our, they're listening to our conversation.
Yes.
This culture is known for stealing pop culture, and they're stealing this language here.
Yeah.
We're late stage capitalism, really? And what you're doing is fighting against that. Is that, or you're just using that because you know it's a buzzword that's going to catch people's ear that may not be as might be looking at you with a suspicious eye like we are. And this is
so play that part again. What you said, late stage capitalism. When you get back to it, play that part again. It's so absurd that. And that, to your point, they hijack our language the same way they hijack what it means to be a progressive. You got all these socialists, people calling themselves socialists, but they literally prop up a capitalist institution. So she has the nerve to use the term late stage capitalism, and she's like the biggest Biden cheerleader there is. So you support the Democratic Party. Her interpretation of late stage capitalism is, oh my God, the Republicans are taking over. Late stage capitalism. It's ridiculous. But let's play the video. I'll let it play a little more because it's so fucking hilarious.
Yeah, and to somebody's comment, she does kind of resemble Anna Kasparian a little bit. I did, because how I came across the video was I saw it without the words first, like it was just playing, and I did like just a quick glimpse.
And also one last thing, the fact that she does that, she implement those terms like late stage capitalism, and she blow past it so fast. That's another reason why I think she's going to be successful as a liberal propagandist, because she has a wide mom following that has way more money than we do, and our following has. And they're going to hear her say late stage capitalism, and these liberal wide moms who vote for Kamala Harris, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I'm on the radical side.
Yeah.
I'm listening to someone who calls out late stage capitalism. You see how this is why she's going to be effective, even though we roll our eyes at this shit. She's gonna be a threat. She's a demon, guys, and the liberal establishment loves her for this. But let's continue. I'll let it play a little bit longer because this is so fucking funny.
And Democrats, can we please stop talking about primarying Joe Biden? Who should run against Joe Biden? Will Democrats get behind Joe Biden? This many Democrats want an alternative to Joe Biden. Can we just not? The absolute last thing democracy needs right now is a Democratic primary. We're in late stage capitalism with a corrupt Supreme Court on a knife's edge between autocracy and democracy, and people want to spend $100 million to undermine our successful incumbent when the alternative is the twice impeached criminal ex-president or the man who is single-handedly turning Florida into a fascist dictatorship? Why? I know people are excited for fresh young leaders with bright new ideas, but those fresh young leaders will never get a chance if we don't protect democracy now. The fact is, Joe Biden has gotten more accomplished in 2 years than any president in the history of
I'm a vomit. I'm
increasingly
vomiting right now.
Joe Biden is a decent man with an incredible staff who knows what he's doing and has thoughtful plans for the future of this country that include women's rights and gay rights and workers' rights and voters' rights and higher minimum wage and lower healthcare costs and environmental protections. It could be argued that the biggest reason democracy is winning in this David and Goliath story in Ukraine is because Joe Biden.
David and Goliath story in Ukraine.
Like it was so much there in like 30 seconds. It was so much. Go ahead.
I was trying to let the video play. I can't do anything but laugh, because if I stop this video, it would take us 30 minutes to get through 30 seconds. She is so good. She is so much better than David Pakman. She fits in so much in such a short amount of time. Like, that's why I'm not doing it. I just let it play. And I think she's so ridiculous. I don't have to explain what she's saying is ridiculous in this segment. Because it's so aggressive. Everything she says is propaganda. It's carefully written out propaganda, which is why I said earlier, bro, she's a demon. She's a threat, man. Like, bro,
she's a demon.
She's good at this shit, man. And I mean, I love this shit, man. Let's continue.
Young leaders with bright new ideas, but those fresh young leaders will never get a chance if we don't protect democracy now. The fact is, Joe Biden has gotten more accomplished in 2 years than any president in the history of presidents.
broken the rail strike, funding ICE more than ever, funding Israel more than ever, lost our global standing in the world, led our allies to join BRICS. You know, just doing good president shit. Took your COVID relief funds, getting to the police. I literally just scratched the surface. But a good politics girl here, liberal wine mom who calling out late-stage capitalism, she don't care about the ICE border industrial complex expanding under Joe Biden. The person who called out late-stage capitalism does not care about the police blowing up. They don't care about the corporate bailout that Joe Biden support. The person who called out late-stage capitalism does not care that Joe Biden broke a rail strike. So I'm like, well, I don't have to interrupt this video that much because I would do it all day. She is so absurd. It literally speaks for itself. I interject every once in a while, but it's so absurd. I got confidence in you guys that you guys see what she is doing. It's so unbelievable. We only 45 seconds left. Anything you want to add?
No, because I have another part, and like you said, we're gonna keep stopping it. So I'm gonna save mine for this.
Yeah,
next
no
part.
worries.
I know what's coming up right here.
In an increasingly cynical world, Joe Biden is a decent man with an incredible staff who knows what he's doing. And
I didn't catch that part.
I didn't either.
Increasingly cynical world. I don't know how that didn't register with the next sentence.
Dude, she is so aggressive. I am missing shit.
She prefaced it. She said, in a cynical world, he's all of these things.
Oh, Jesus
She's
Christ.
good because what that is, that's drawing in people saying, you're just on him. You just, you're just drinking the Kool-Aid. She's within it, kind of giving those people who would give critiques to Joe Biden a little bit of a high five here and there. Maybe it's small, but she's kind of throwing those in there.
and has thoughtful plans for the future of this country that include women's rights and gay rights and workers' rights and voters' rights and higher minimum wage and lower healthcare costs and environmental protections. It could be argued that the biggest reason
citation needed. I mean, there are a lot of lies here, but I really need a citation for that one. The increased minimum wage, what? I did a story a few months ago how they said Biden literally abandoned his promise to push a minimum wage. He's not even trying. Like, obviously it's gonna be hard to do, but you had to put up a fight. He's not even doing it. He's like, oh, sorry, we got these guardrails, we can't do it. So I think that's just a straight up lie, right? Maybe I should fact check myself. Maybe I don't know if she knows something I don't, but as far as I know, I have not seen that. But let's continue.
I mean, it's kind of expected that this whole thing is bullshit to me. So I will go with you.
David and Goliath story in Ukraine is because Joe Biden had the foreign
David and Goliath story in Ukraine. I might have to show that Ukraine video one of these days, man. I watched that Ukraine video. I was about to do a segment on it. I was like, dude, fuck this. This shit is so. Like, you see how aggressive she is with propaganda. She did that with the Ukraine war. I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. It would take me 30 minutes to break this shit down. But anyway, I'll let it continue. She's so ridiculous.
Gather world leaders together and build a coalition to support them. He can run on all of that. We don't need to replace him. We need to spend our time and money giving him a bigger majority in Congress so he can get even more accomplished. Yeah, he's old. He talks old. He's a goofy grandpa who says things like malarkey. Who cares? By every measurable metric, he's an excellent leader. If we didn't have lines,
she's really good. Said every other metric, he's an excellent leader besides him being old. That's what she said. Go ahead.
You see what the liberals do? They substitute real criticism like the one I have of him funding the border industrial complex more than ever. I use that one. I'll leave with that one because even liberals understood why that was bad under Trump. Now they forgot about it. So instead of bringing my critique of Joe Biden, he's a war criminal who literally destroyed U.S. standing because he is so aggressive, funding all these horrific states like Israel, the border industrial complex, police, etc., etc. Instead of that being a criticism, she sneaks in, oh, he's a goofy grandpa that get words wrong sometimes. It's like, that's not my criticism. My criticism is that is literally Donald Trump. Let's continue.
Propaganda networks and self-serving chaos agents constantly trying to sell us on the idea that he's some demented evil pedophile out to ruin the country, and you just look at the facts of his presidency on paper, there would be zero debate he was doing a bang-up job. You don't spend $100 million undermining your own party to defeat someone who's doing a bang-up job. That's
the only good point she made. This whole video. That was like, you spent $100 million. Oh, and she don't even know why it's a good point. And not gonna, because I'm like, why the fuck you spending this money doing some shit that's rigged? Only semi-decent point you made. Let's continue.
And you spend the resources you would have spent on a primary building the infrastructure that will defeat your opposition. You know, the party who wants to take your vote.
Because I say we should spend our resources on us in mutual aid. I said we should not spend $100 million doing a failed project supporting a neocon and imperialist who don't even have a criticism of Biden's agenda. We should spend it on mutual aid and food banks, you know, for example. But she says we shouldn't spend that much money because we need to spend it on other Democrats. Oh, man. Let's continue.
And force you to have a baby and tell you what you can read and what you can teach and what you can know. The people passing laws to tell people how to dress and how to act and what they can do with their own bodies. The party calling for a national divorce and suggesting that maybe Democrats shouldn't get to vote at all. The party that wants to get rid of everything from Social Security to public schools, who have already passed laws to strip women of their rights and make trans people detransition and force private companies to toe their policy line. You don't give those people the gift of fighting amongst yourselves. You spend your time and money working to put down that fascist, authoritarian, white Christian nationalist uprising taking over half the country. Joe Biden is better than any alternative the Republicans could put up. So if you want to win, how you feel about him is irrelevant. We don't need a new presidential candidate in 2024. We need to keep the Senate and flip the House. We need to fill the states with AGs who believe in the rule of law and legislators who believe in democracy. We need to pay attention to our school boards. Our current president is successful and he can win. We need to pick our battles right now. And a Democratic primary, it just isn't one of them. Sorry, not sorry.
So I don't understand who thinks this is real. I'm like, not like I'm literally trying to think who watches this and goes, this is a serious person that I'm listening to. Like, I'm following her not because of comedy. Like, I'm following her because I think she's genuine. I'm following her because of comedy, not anything other than just I want to laugh. I can't. I can't. Go ahead.
I don't know if you noticed because you not on Twitter as much as I am, but she's propped up. She get liked and retweeted by the Standard, New York Times, blue check liberal journalist crowd. I see them all the time. Like, damn, she's good up here. Cause they watching it as a profession. Like the same way as a martial artist, I watch a boxer. Like, damn, his technique is crisp as hell. You got propaganda. You got MSNBC people. They love her, man. I know it's like, man, woo, she can be the next Mehdi Hassan. they admiring her craft in a way. It's gonna be hard to see with our algorithm. But if you like, liberals love politics, girl, man, and you see why. She's significantly better than David Pacman. I just don't understand how anyone will fall for this. It just shows how strong the class connections are. Like the liberal class connections are so strong. They hear what she says, and they think she is telling more truth than we are. You know what I mean? There are some people that I just have a hard time reaching. I told the story so many times. When I used to canvass for Bernie Sanders, when I was in South Carolina, I was in South Carolina for 5 weeks, guys. 5 weeks. Talked to countless known people. I had great conversations with people who's like redneck conservative, right? Then I'll get to a door to a Pete Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren, liberal wine mom. Those are the hardest people to get on your side. There was conservative black people I was talking to in South Carolina. Hell yeah, I'm down for healthcare. Rednecks, hell yeah, I'm down for healthcare. You talking about increased broadband? Meanwhile, Elizabeth Warren supporter answered the door. They see Bernie headband. Hell no, not interested. Shut the door. That's anecdotal, but that's my personal experience. I'm gonna share it. Right? Continue. Go ahead, CJ.
So I'm looking at this, and the more and more I'm looking, this is probably my third video I'm seeing it. The more and more I'm watching this, the more and more I'm thinking that this is looking fishy to me.
Yeah, it's definitely
this is really looking fishy to me. This is almost looking like this is like a coordinated front, and these people like her and like Brooklyn Dad is a coordinated front by powers that be. I don't know who, so I can't tell you if the FBI is just the agency. But something's behind her because there's a reason she keeps coming and she's set up. Now, when you do YouTube, do you, Nick? I mean, when you come and perform our show, do you go and pick a terrible area as your background? Do you go and do that on purpose?
I have no choice.
Now, no, you don't. I'm saying you don't have a terrible background is what I'm saying. You don't have a background. There was a lot of people like like your front door example, like your brand where everybody's the most foot traffic's gonna come. Yeah. Why is she picking this? Unless she's trying to sell to us. I'm just a regular person. Look, I got a refrigerator right here. Look, it's dishes right here in front of me.
Yes, CJ.
Look, that's what she's trying to sell right here. That's why I'm starting to think, if
yes,
you're
CJ,
trying to sell this, that
you,
means you're not this. Go ahead.
Yes, CJ, you know for a goddamn fact she got money to get a studio.
Yes.
We look at the people who prop her up, and the fact that her clientele got money. Like, if you want to be like some sort of media grifter, going after people who don't support the duopoly, going after poor people, not a good business strategy, guys. For people who think RBN is grifters, the people who are making bank are people like Hassan, this person right here, that appeals to liberal wine mom, bourgeoisie audiences. So she 100% is making bank, backed by the establishment, but she chooses this as her background. I told you guys I have no choice. I could have a good studio upstairs, but I can't go upstairs because my internet not good upstairs. You guys know that? When I first started, I used to stream in my room. I can't do that anymore because I realized, like, damn, my internet cut off more because I only got good service when I'm downstairs. So I stream in my living room, as Rome saw, because it's my strongest internet point in my house because I'm broke as fucking hell. I live in the Midwest. I don't got good infrastructure. Google Fiber not even available where I'm at. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, that's why I stream where I'm at. I got no choice. But her, you know, she can stream whatever the fuck she wants, but she chose this, as CJ said, because she's selling something to you. Let's continue, CJ.
Yeah, like, because a person who is really living in an area that's poor, like you're poor or you don't have the most money, when you're trying to do your show, you're not, like, if you literally are living that way, you ain't trying to go, let me put that on TV. You're trying to go, let me find the best place in this rat-infested hole that I can stream. You ain't like, let me go to the worst spot. But if you're going to the worst spot, that tells me that's not really your play. That's not, this is all an act. It feels, because like I said, I've been in production. This completely feels like a somebody submitting like a actor's tape. Like, look at me play this role, because I'm turning this in to play a role. This completely looks like she's in wardrobe. But the hair tie, I guarantee you she doesn't wear her hair like that. She is trying so hard to look like a regular person.
Yeah,
and that's the point that I'm,
she's so fucking sneaky.
Yeah, we don't need to. I guess let's listen to what she says here with Donald Trump. I guess we can hear what she says here. Let's see.
So it looks like Trump is finally going to be arrested, which is good for justice and the rule of law, but it's going to be hard on America. And for those of us who care about America, we're going to have to be smart about how we respond. Trump is currently priming his audience for his arrest. He recently wrote an all-caps message on Truth Social that said, if he's arrested, people need to protest and take the nation back. The pump Trump is priming is the same one he used when he lost the election, one of grievance and violence. This isn't leadership. It's the weapon.
Protest equals violence automatically is what they're saying. And that is something that they're saying. They're saying a lot of liberal media, and I can take that off.
Look, I want to show this one because I don't know if this is the exact video I saw, but this is the Ukraine video. At least
I couldn't find it. That was the one I was trying to find when I found that.
I just searched her account for Ukraine, so I'm not 100% sure this is the one. Oh, this is it. This is definitely the video because she was like, for the people who don't understand what's happening for Russia and Ukraine, I'm gonna explain the whole crisis in the video. And this explanation video is nothing but U.S. propaganda and lies. So let's play a little bit of it because this is the video I first saw of her, and this was earlier last year.
Okay, so I'm not an international expert and I don't rep dictator. What would stop the Russian people from doing this debate and putting the Ukraine back in its place? Not only will it just, but if he does it.
Is the video working for you guys?
Let me see. I couldn't tell at first.
Let's try this one.
Twitter does that sometimes.
Yeah,
Russia put hundreds of thousands of troops on the border of Ukraine. They are threatening to invade Ukraine if they don't get what they want. Ukraine is a sovereign nation that does not.
Yeah, I don't know these are the videos. I might find the other one.
No, it glitches. Twitter glitches sometimes like that. But if you can find it, that'll be great.
Yeah,
glitches.
I don't want this segment to go too long, so I might do it. I might do that another time because I don't want to spend too much time on it. Anyway, CJ, I'll pass to you.
Yeah, but you know the guy Chris Avalos on Chris Avalos. He's the top Trump derangement syndrome guy. Do you know what I'm talking about? I'll quickly show you.
What's his name again?
I think it's Christo Avalos or something like that. He goes by. I'll show you what he looks like. Chris Avalos. It's Chris. Oh. Okay, here it goes. Right here. Did I say his name right?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but the Trump derangement syndrome guy, I still can't believe that he is still doing. I just had to show you this because when I was looking up this shit, it is crazy, man.
He's killing the game. Look, 260,000 subscribers.
Yes, it's all Trump. Every single video is Trump.
And people think we're grifters? People think we're grifters. But look, this guy is killing the game, man. Look at this. Every video getting 100,000 plus likes. I mean, 100,000 views, 70,000 views.
That's because YouTube is absolutely propping him up because he's talking about Trump. There's no way that he's getting that on his content because when you listen to his
so that was 1 hour ago. Got
really
10,000. Jesus Christ, dude. Over Trump,
he gets him like right away. So it kind of dives into another part of this segment. I kind of wanted to piggyback and go into the next part. And just we talked about it briefly, but Trump's arrest, I did want to show this part because I forgot to show it. But remember Jennifer Rubin? He has a clip of Jennifer Rubin talking about it. You got to hear this. I just want you to hear this.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Multiple Trump indictments, how that then changes the contours of both the Republican primary and then that general election?
I do think there will be multiple indictments, and I agree entirely with Jill that simply because he may have committed worse crimes, you don't let him off of lesser crimes. If you are, for example, seeking a prosecution for murder, if the guy gets caught drunk driving in another context before that, you don't just let him go because you have bigger fish to fry. So he must be held accountable for each violation and each jurisdiction. New York has an obligation to its citizens to enforce the law. Now, when he, as I believe he will be indicted, shouldn't Republicans take this seriously? Shouldn't they look at the prospect of having someone behind bars and look at the facts as the grand juries in these various cases have set out? I would hope so, but frankly, I'm not at all convinced.
Now, to her point, this is the only reason why I wanted to play that, Nick, is that this is what this whole Trump thing is about. It's about dirtying him up enough to where it's like, damn, Republicans ain't getting mad at nothing. They like anything, like the video, this, whatever he does is not affecting anything. And they are so mad about that. But this is not going to do anything either. This is going to this is only going to get him elected if they arrest him, especially if they don't convict him. Go ahead.
So for people who don't think this is political, do you guys know what they're charging him with? They charged him over the Stormy Daniels payments. That's what they got him on. You guys know how long ago that was? So you telling me, and I know I'm a suspicious motherfucker, you telling me that they just now, after all this time, about to get this indictment right before the general election campaign starts. Get the fuck out of here. So they didn't time it for right after the election in 2020 because that would have been a waste. Right? They didn't want to do it before the midterms because even that not big enough. They wanted to hold it until the big general election. Then they come out with an indictment. Then that hurt Trump in the general election. Now he can't run. You guys think that wasn't timed? I don't got any evidence for this, but I really hope you guys got more skepticism than that because that's way too convenient for them. 100% they want to use this to hurt Donald Trump. And how pathetic is it? And I'll tell you guys that I don't criticize Joe Biden for his mental acuity. Have you guys noticed that? How many segments have we done mocking Joe Biden for his speech mishaps? I'm not saying it's something that's not worth mocking. I generally avoid what is weak criticism, I believe. Right? You know what I mean? Like, if I say that Joe Biden, he's horrible because he got a broken brain, he's old, liberals like, oh my God, you're being ageist. No, I go after his criminal justice record. I go after stuff that's undeniable. completely evil that expose the liberal hypocrisy. They got Trump on some Stormy Daniels shit. I wouldn't be satisfied with that if I was a liberal. You guys not going to get him for war crimes? You guys not going to get him for hardcore financial corruption over a Stormy Daniels payment that his lawyer got wrong? Are you serious? That's the best you guys got. You guys should be embarrassed. Apparently, this guy is the most corrupt person of all time. The biggest thing that we ever seen to democracy. Oh, but we got him on a finance charge. That is weak as hell. That's where I'm coming from. I would love to see Trump go to jail, but this shit is weak. Get him for some war crimes. Get him for his Saudi Arabia corruption. Get him for emolument clause. Like, there's some real shit that you guys can get Trump on, but you guys know that will open the floodgates for you guys. That's why that's why I don't cover this stuff generally, because it's not interesting. It's very weak that liberals have to do this to get Trump. Like, someone was like, and someone was like, we gotta get rid of Joe Biden, and there was articles of impeachment because there was articles of impeachment for Joe Biden because he was old. They're like, man, he's not mentally aware. I'm like, fuck, I don't want to get him for that. You know what I mean? That is me. I'm a competitive motherfucker. I'm also kind of spiteful. So I want to get you what I believe will hurt you most PR-wise. Because if that happened for Biden, they're like, man, he got impeached because of fucking his age. That's not fair. And then Republicans going to say, man, it was just a political witch hunt. They're a political witch hunt. They were desperate. Every American is saying is like, yes, obviously they doing this because of the election. That's liberals. Yeah. You guys want that weak victory? That's the victory you want over Trump. That's weak.
They're talking about a perp walk. They're talking about, we ain't gonna get no perp walk over this. Like, get the hell out of here. Like, are you guys crazy? Like, to me, I'm surprised they're even talking about an arrest. I mean, they're talking about it because Trump said it, but it ain't gonna be no handcuffs and all that stuff. No, ain't none of this stuff happening over this charge. And the reason she was saying what she was saying, Nick, is to the point you just made, how this is weak. She's trying to make the point. Well, you don't forget the weak stuff just because that's what she's trying to say. Get them on the weak stuff and the big stuff. And the big stuff never comes, Nick. You notice the big stuff never comes.
I didn't have a platform back then, but dude, I was on Trump when he first elected. When he first elected, I was calling him out for his war crimes in Venezuela. I was calling out for the emolument clause. I was like, dude, this dude's full of shit. This dude said he's going to end war. He definitely escalated. He literally killed more people with drones in his first year than Obama did his first term. And I was calling this shit out consistently. Meanwhile, in shitlib universe, they were talking about Russiagate. I was like, y'all see what fuck Trump is doing? And y'all talking about Russiagate? And I was like, what the hell? That's the weak shit y'all going after. I saw all the crazy shit. Yeah, he had Steve Mnuchin. He had Betsy DeVos fucking up education. But they were focusing on Russiagate and all this weak ass shit. And that's when I was like, that's where I was talking like, all right, dude, Democrats are definitely complicit with this shit because they are shielding the worst criticism of Trump. And that's why when I see MSNBC coverage of Trump in general. It's like, man, you guys chose the weakest shit to go after him for, and that's why they can't get rid of him. But they also have no choice because they went after him for the real shit, and they went after him for some war crimes. Guess who about to get caught with some war crimes as well? People like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. Because Republicans be like, oh, we playing that game now? We playing the war crime game now? Wait till next election. Then they'll open the floodgates, and that's what they want to avoid. That's why they got to do nonsense like Stormy Daniels, January 6th, all this bullshit that actually has nothing to do with corruption and power. My last thoughts. I have another 10 minutes, CJ. I'll pass to you, though.
I mean, do you have another short segment? If not, I got a short one. If you don't have one. You can check. I can do some announcements real quick. If you
let me check if I might have one short one.
If you have a short one, I have a short one I could do real quick. But in the meanwhile, let's make sure we hit that like button, everybody. Just about to hit 500 people watching. Make sure we get to 500 likes, or that was the last, our 400 likes. Let's push that up to 420. We were at 375, so 50 more people hit that like button. That'll get us to 425 in the like department. The other thing is we got RBN memberships now. You can check that out, $3.99. Our website is Revolutionary Blackout Network. And then, I forgot this earlier, our contact information. info@revblacknetwork.com. if you know of upcoming, let me put this back up here. If you know of upcoming like protests, email that to us. If you know of upcoming any sort of direct action coming up, communist meetings in particular areas, email us those things. We would love to see leaflets. We would love to see flyers, graphics of these types of things so we can share and get more people out to these events. In your area, if we could, tap into some people that might be in your area that's interested, that's what we want to try to do. All right, so let's get back to the show. Nick,
yeah, my story I'm gonna say to you tomorrow because I remember the story.
Okay.
Is the Marjorie Taylor Greene calls for war in Mexico? So that's a story I don't want to do short. I want to do it justice. So that's tomorrow. Marjorie Taylor Greene called for war with Mexico, and the preview to that, you've seen Lindsey Graham send the call for Mexican invasion of Mexico.
Yeah.
For cartels. And AMLO had a great quote. I'm gonna say this that's why I don't want to do this segment now because I'm gonna show this quote. AMLO's like, y'all really think the biggest cartels in Mexico, bro? Look at what the United States is doing with the drug trade. He called the CIA. It was crazy. So that's a whole nother segment. The right wing is now trying to end the Ukraine war in order to start war in Mexico and South America. So that's the segment for tomorrow. I'll stay for the last segment for you, CJ.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead with this quick story. You've seen it. So it was between Nick and both of these stories, it was between the pro-Moscow voices tried to steer Ohio train to disaster. So for those that didn't know,
I didn't look into it that much. I saw the headline. I didn't look into it.
Yeah. So I had between that one and this one that I actually picked, and I think you saw this one too, or I sent it to you. Former NATO chief says Trump could sabotage the war, and it's because of his plan. So this is a quick one that'll, less than 10 minutes we can get through. This right here, everybody, former NATO chief says Trump could sabotage the war. So everybody kind of knows that Trump has this stance of, and we all, or we assume that it's fake. We assume that it's not real.
Yeah, that's just my instinct. That's just my gut instinct. I'm telling you guys, my gut instinct is whenever I hear Trump say some base shit about Ukraine, I'm like, damn, that's base. But I just don't think he's going to follow through. We see. But go ahead, CJ.
So Trump's peace in Ukraine stance is what's kind of, it's just another example of what we talk about, Nick, when we say, this is the reason why the establishment don't specifically like him. They don't like him because he's kind of vulgar and they want to put a pretty face to imperialism. And the other thing is he says publicly things against the military industrial complex that they just don't think that a president should be saying. This is why such willingness in corporate media to go after him. Think about this. There's so many other presidents that do bad shit, but nobody goes after those other presidents in the same way that they go after him. They could go after Bill Clinton about all of his womanizing like they go after Donald Trump, but they choose not to do that because, they're liberal media. But this article caught my eye. I'll read just a little bit and then we can discuss and close out. But regardless of whether he wins, Trump's nomination would blow up Republican support for Ukraine, says Anders Rasmussen. Now, this particular person, he's still involved. Now, he's a former NATO chief, but I think he's part of Ukrainian military force. They're going to tell me that in the article in just a second. So I'll straighten that out for you. But let me read that again, Nick, because this is really weird. And to me, this is why I wanted to talk about his arrest right before I talked about this. I almost think, because you were like, this is a coincidence, like how is this? I almost think that the turn up in an imminent arrest is because of his stance on Ukraine and going into the campaign with that. And it got turned up even more because DeSantis took the same stance.
Yeah.
So I feel like you're going to all of a sudden start hearing arrests are all of a sudden coming for sure now. Go ahead, Nick.
And what does that say about the Ukraine position that Ukraine can win this war? What have I been saying for the last year now? The people who think Ukraine can win this war are delusional. Because Russia right now cranked up weapon production. They are firing on all cylinders, and they just got started. Russia can do this all day, son. Meanwhile, Ukrainian resistance is 100% dependent on the political position of Europe and the United States. Which one seems like more of a fragile position? Russia just needs to stall out Ukraine while already occupying eastern Ukraine? Or the Ukrainian position where the political situation where they're getting the weapons from could change anytime. So, as I said a year ago, Russia, despite the made-up objectives that the West have made up for Russia, like Russia haven't took Kyiv yet. That means they losing. I'm like, we didn't put a timetable for that. We chilling. Wait until y'all lose that political support. You guys know they already spend more than Russia's annual military budget. Yeah. Now they're protesting in Europe, they're protesting in France, they're protesting in Europe, protesting in the United States. How long are you gonna keep this up, Zelensky? We can do this all day. You're gonna win every election? You're gonna keep political will for you to get weapons? This is why the concept of Ukraine ever having a chance never made sense. Because they cannot keep this up while repelling the Russian forces, which is what people was telling you. You're not going to repel the Russian forces because you guys are not strong enough, and you're not going to win a war of attrition. So unless you want another 100,000 dead Ukrainian soldiers, do you guys know that? 100,000 dead Ukrainian soldiers? Media doesn't tell you about that, doesn't it? So unless you want another 100,000 dead Ukrainian soldiers, you need to advocate for peace. And that is the position that peace activists and anti-war people have. That Ukraine doesn't have a chance here, so we might well, for geopolitical stability, negotiate with Russia and go back to the Minsk Accords, because that is what makes the most sense. My rant is over. Go ahead, CJ.
No, it was perfectly placed. Read a little more about the article, because this to me is truly insane, but it's typical. But Anders Rasmussen, the former Secretary General of NATO, packs his prognosis for Donald Trump's campaign into one loaded word. I think President Trump will be a loser, he tells me. Let's continue. This is an ad. It is notoriously triggering term for the former president, invoking deep humiliation. Rasmussen uses it casually. Quote, his baggage is too heavy, too controversial, says Rasmussen, 70, who was Denmark's prime minister for most of this century first. Yet Rasmussen, a right-of-center politician who is now a White Shoe International consultant, remains scared of Trump. What disturbs him more immediately than the idea of Trump back in the White House is a far likelier scenario. Trump winning the Republican presidential nomination. It may seem counterintuitive to fear Trump's nomination more than his return to power, a less probable but vastly more different outcome. But Rasmussen's mind is on the war in Ukraine and what Trump's candidacy might do to sabotage it. The former NATO chief serves as an advisor, and this is the part I was saying, what he currently is, Nick. He currently is an advisor to the Ukrainian government and recently came to Washington to see members of Congress and Biden administration officials. He is lobbying them to supply more and heavier weapons to make long-term security guarantees to Ukraine. So that's what he's doing. And that guy is afraid that Trump and his rhetoric, and now we're adding DeSantis, could spell trouble for the funding of this war.
And why do you think that is, guys? Why do you guys think that is? Because the people who support funding Ukraine know they do not have a leg to stand on. They've been surviving thus far by using massive censorship campaigns and avoiding debate. And you are able to get away with that during an off election year. Now imagine there's an election where American people are actually paying attention and you got one giant presidential candidate calling you guys out on your bullshit on Ukraine. Then that forces the public debate that you guys was able to avoid for a long time. Now Bernie Sanders all of a sudden got to rebuke Trump. Something he's been avoiding for a long time. And they are sweating, CJ, because they know this debate is coming and they know they're on the wrong side. And how humiliating is it that you're gonna get out-left by fucking Donald Trump. They all know this is coming. That's why they're all begging for this indictment to happen.
Yeah, and that's to your point, and that's what I was saying, that this feels to me like this shit is being turned up a lot higher. I mean, I never would imagine they would even sort of arrest a president. And then when you think of the charges, like this all this fanfare about these freaking low-level charges is just to prevent him from running, and so that he's not on the platform where he's speaking this. But let me finish up this article, this last paragraph, Nick. Just by winning the Republican nomination, Trump could shatter the bipartisan front in favor of Ukraine. Just by winning the nomination, Rasmussen fears. Trump has been forthright about his views on Russia's invasion, praising Putin as a clever strategist in the early days of the war, and recently suggesting that Ukraine should have seceded Russian-speaking areas in a deal with the invader. Let me read this last part. I'm going to scroll down and read this quote. This is the quote that made the headline. Quote, I call it a geopolitical catastrophe if Trump were to be nominated, because in the campaign, his influence would be destructive. And this is what they are definitely, or just as to the layers of the things that they are definitely.
They're not actually used to debating shit. They're not used to debating shit. They're like, man, these elections are supposed to be who all debate identity politics, culture war. Yeah. Trump about to call us out for Ukraine. Man, they're not used to having an actual real debate. Even in 2004. I don't know if you guys remember. I had to look back at this shit. When I was back in my history nerd shit, you had John Kerry, who was criticizing George Bush about the Iraq war, saying, oh man, you're not handling it right. It's not that you should not fucking have an illegal invasion of Iraq. He was saying that George W. Bush mismanaged the war.
You're not doing it right.
You know what I mean? The same thing here, where they use it's what that the what I mean is that the conversation they used to. You know what I mean? Where the criticism is mild at best. Trump is gonna go after the jugular, saying that you guys are corrupt for this. The Ukraine is a waste. You guys are promoting. He literally said, I'm gonna be the only president that prevent World War III. What other campaign you ever seen where presidents was saying stuff like that to each other? It was always shallow, surface shit. You know what I mean? And now the establishment.
I can see them definitely afraid of that fight, Nick. That is a fight they're going to lose. That is a fight that they're not going to win. I mean, in public perception, they're not going to win that fight, especially when inflation is going up, especially when all the you know what I mean? If you was taking care of your country, maybe this could fly. But when you're not taking care of your citizens on top of that, and then this, and it's like, wait a minute, I'm over here, can't pay my bills, but nigga, you sending money over here? Like, you get what I'm saying? So, and you know, the reason they're definitely afraid specifically of Trump, because maybe there was another anti-war, like Bernie. They're not afraid of anti-war Bernie like they're afraid of anti-war Trump. Because anti-war Trump is not afraid to go there in places, in public, on TV, like Bernie Sanders would be. He's going to go there. He's going to go to, why is NATO doing this? Why is this? You guys aren't even getting this. He's not afraid, especially if he's backed in the corner. Especially,
I can see him calling out Victoria Nuland by name. He might fuck around Victoria. Like Bernie would never say her name.
Exactly.
Like Trump would say her name. Like, what's up with Victoria Nuland picking the Ukrainian leader? You want to explain that, Biden? They're gonna be like, holy shit. Anyway, it was very interesting to see.
That's my.
I'll tell you guys, my gut instinct is, I don't think Trump is going to actually follow through on this stuff the same way he didn't follow through the first time. But even with that said, it is objectively true. Even if you believe that he will crush the Democrats with this strategy. You can hold two beliefs at the same time. He definitely doesn't believe this, but he's going to destroy him if he campaigns on this shit. We see. Electoral politics is hard to predict. As far as I'm concerned. Anything else you have, CJ?
No, that's my final words. What's coming up this week? You got any announcements for guests?
Yeah, I'm working on some more. I'm working on a few more guests, but we got Nico House scheduled to join me at Nick at Night on Wednesday. Long time coming. We tried working a few times, but schedules was rough. Then we finally got it down. It's been a while since I had a chat with Nico. It's gonna be very fun. He got a lot to say about Ukraine, very, very astute at foreign policy is Nico House. So it should be a great conversation. You're going to join me at Nick at Night. I have other guest announcements maybe later on this week. Make sure you guys support the show, like and subscribe. And if you want more content, like I'm going to put up as much content as possible. Support us on Patreon. We're definitely going to need it. I'm definitely going to need it at least. We appreciate all the support that you guys have. Much love and solidarity for you guys. That's all I have. I'll let you send us out, CJ.
All right, Nick. I'll see you tomorrow. We will actually for the meeting. We got a meeting in a little bit, but let's go ahead and end on a video here, and we will allow. Where is it? We will allow Richard to take us out. Also, I clicked on the video, but it looks like it went down. Okay. Let me click on it again. I clicked on his name. Let me click on the video. There we go. All right, so we'll end with this Richard video on AOC talking about
AOC
recruitment.
She wanted to stop the military advertising on Twitch. Look, man. I agree with the sentiment, but I think that this is a farce. Okay, I'm gonna just let her speak before I get into it. Go ahead, just look at what she had to say. All right, take a look.
Right now, currently, children on platforms such as Twitch are bombarded with banner ads that link to recruitment sign-up forms.
Let me refresh this here. Let's see if it plays any better. Let's see here.
Look, man, I agree with the sentiment, but I think that this is a farce. Okay, I'm gonna just let her speak before I get into it. Go ahead, just look at what she had to say. All right, take a look.
Right now, currently, children on platforms such as Twitch are bombarded with banner ads that link to recruitment sign-up forms that can be submitted by children as young as 12 years old. These are not educational outreach programs, but recruitment forms for the military. A Twitter account for the U.S. Army esports team linked to a page with, quote, register to win at the top, no details on what one could even win, and a sign-up form that, according to a tiny disclosure at the bottom of the page, consents to contact by an Army recruiter, again allowing people as young as 12 years old to submit this form. Viewers in the Army's Twitch channel are repeatedly presented with an automated prompt that says they could win an Xbox Elite Series 2 controller that costs upwards of $200 and a link where they can enter the, quote, giveaway. It too directs them to a recruitment form with no additional mention of a contest odds, total number of winners, or when a drawing will occur. Again, it's extraordinarily important that we approach and study emerging technologies, including live streaming, which is a platform that is exploding in youth, particularly among young people. And when it comes to issues of technology, I believe that we should act with reservation and caution first, rather than entering with both feet in and then trying to undo damage that could potentially be done. That's why I believe that we should, again, restrain and restrict ourselves from explicit recruitment tactics, not others, but recruitment specifically on platforms that children are using to play games like Animal Crossing, from Animal Crossing to Call of Duty. Additionally, there was also the extraordinary concern from the Marine Corps of conflating military service with shoot 'em up style first-person shooters. We cannot conflate war and military service with this kind of gamified format. And with that, I yield.
You know, that's really interesting phrasing she uses there, right? She says we cannot conflate military service with war. It's a very odd thing for a United States politician to say, because as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, you don't have anything called military service. You have a military industrial complex. Okay. You don't have any military service. You use your military to colonize and occupy other countries illegally, destabilize them, topple their governments, plunder their resources. What service is that? Brutalizing Iraqis? That's service? Committing genocide? That's service? What kind of service is that? The only people you're serving are Raytheon and Lockheed Martin. Never mind, though. You know, let's focusing on what she's doing over here. I mean, this is a farce. Look, let me explain something very simply. When you come to my country and you occupy my oil and you deprive my family of food and income, I really don't care if the people doing it, the grunts that are occupying my food, my oil, my land, were recruited on Twitch or at a Dunkin' Donuts or in high school. I really don't give a fuck, because at the end of the day, they are still oppressors, they are colonizers, and they are in my land illegally. So fuck you and fuck your farce. If you really cared, okay, about kids, why don't you care about the kids in Syria? Why don't you care about the kids in Syria that are starving now because of your sanctions, that are deprived of food because of your military? Why don't you care about that, huh? We don't matter? Syrian kids don't matter? What about the kids in Iraq? What about the kids in Venezuela?